This is Matt Hugg for Think NP, and we have with us Valerie Jones of Valerie M. Jones Associates for 5 tips in 10 minutes. All right, Val, what's your first tip?
My first tip is for beginners, which is even if you're just a grants writer working in your home office, you probably need to be registered with your state.
Oh, that's important.
Okay?
That's really good.
And it's usually the Bureau of Charitable Organizations. Some are very difficult. Some are wonderfully simple, but you can get slammed with thousands of dollars of charges for each of the clients that you have. So if in doubt, go and look it up and get registered, because that's just the mark of a professional. Also, I always say to potential clients, well, of course you want somebody who's registered with the state, and you can pull down my name right there. Right. And they might look at the other people who are pitching them and see that they are not registered.
Exactly.
So it's a competitive advantage. It doesn't, it does cost something, but it's the right thing to do.
Okay.
So that would be my first suggestion.
That's a really good one. Thank you. So we started off strong. What's number 2?
Right. Okay. So number 2, I think, would be to pick your clients carefully.
Oh, excellent.
And that's easier to say when you have more clients than when you're starting out.
Yeah.
But it really, you are as successful as your clients.
Okay.
So
that's
if you, and I have a little interview thing where I actually interview clients as much as they're interviewing me to understand, to see if it's a good match, or maybe I need to refer them to someone else.
And I imagine you've honed those questions over a long time to come down to just the right ones
I've
for
edited
you.
them down. And they're, you'll get lots of different answers, but finding that match is really important. And if you think about it, I could do exactly the same job for 2 organizations, work all night, meet the deadlines, interview every board member, give my life's blood, and if one of them does nothing with what I tell them to do, and the other one just takes it and runs it because they're great and they're a great match, then I will be a failure with this client and a success with this client. This client will badmouth me all around town. This client will sing my praises to the stars, and I did exactly the same job.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's huge. That gets to something my mother used to say: is your reputation precedes you.
Yes,
and so you
so make
want
sure it's
somebody.
a good one. Right.
Yeah.
And the third one's kind of related to that. People ask me what my marketing strategy is. And I have a very simple marketing strategy. I very rarely buy ads or lists or anything like that. But my clients are all delighted.
That's huge.
Not satisfied, but delighted. And I will do anything to make them delighted. I stay in contact with them for decades afterwards.
Excellent.
I, send them leads every time I see, even if I haven't worked with them for 10 years. If I have to meet the goals, it's not their fault if I misjudge how much time it would take to do a contract. So I give a lot of pro bono sometimes if it's my mistake, but they are so grateful. I also make sure those pro bono hours appear on the bill.
So they know,
and you got $2,000 worth of pro bono.
But they know that you're putting in that kind of time for them. That's really important.
So marketing strategy, just having delighted clients is really, I think, the best.
That's huge. That's really good. So what's number 4?
4 would be build your toolkit.
Ah, interesting. So what do you mean by toolkit?
Toolkit is forms, templates, samples. For 18 years I've been grabbing, and even before, when you see a sample job description, when you see a moves management template, just grab them and stick them in your toolbox folder online, because you never know. I had something I saw, I think it was 2002, and I remember putting it in my toolkit. I ended up using it for a client last year, and the William Penn Foundation was so impressed when they saw it that they said, "Oh, that's really cool technology. Where did that come from?" So you never know when you're going to use those toolkits. But if you have to put together a proposal really quickly, having 7 samples,
for
of a job description or whatever, can be really helpful. And it doesn't mean you don't tailor it to the client, but having a good toolkit. And just always looking for those things.
You said the word online. Do you use Evernote or something, or you just put it in a file folder?
Oh, just in a file folder. But I mean, when I'm cruising online or just looking at other stuff or reading articles, my eyes are always open for samples.
Gotcha.
Samples of anything. Because you never know what client's going to need it for what.
No, exactly.
And then I just dump them in there.
Well, cool. So now, what's the last tip?
The last tip is what happens at the end of the contract that we all know we should do and we mostly don't, which is to debrief.
Ah, very good.
To sit down with the client and say, this is what we said we were going to do. This is what we did. This is what we changed. And, what do you think?
Right.
Are you happy
Right.
with it? Are you not happy with it? Is there anything more you need? But also to quantify it. Because when you're doing LinkedIn like a year later, you're not
Yeah.
going to remember that you increased their giving 150%.
Yep.
You're not going to remember, that you structured something new for them. Because you're on to the next client.
And they are too. They're on.
And they're on to the other thing
The
too.
second
Right.
they leave you, they got other things to do.
Right.
So
Even
get it now.
before.
Yeah. Right.
Yes,
Right. Yeah.
So
get it
just
now.
taking a moment and doing a debrief with a client, if possible, I think is one of the, one of my clients and I did a talk at the local AFP conference,
Right.
the Franklin Forum, about like how do you work with how does the best way for a client and a consultant to work together?
Yep.
And that was one of the things that she said was most helpful to her.
That's great. Yeah, that's something I don't hear from a lot of people. That's
I know,
really
like
good.
we all know we should do it, but
Yeah.
like you're really busy and it's over and you already got your money,
Right,
but
right. And you're moving on to the next thing because
yeah,
you need to do that
right.
too.
But it
so.
is really helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, great. Well, this has been 5 tips in 10 minutes with Valerie Jones. Valerie, thank you so much. This
You're
has really been
welcome. Great.
All right.
I hope it's helpful.
Thank you.